My name is Talek Various. I serve as a junior historian in the Imperial Archive of the Kareth Dominion. A boring job, honestly. Mostly dust. Mostly old war records about how magnificent our empire is. Page after page explaining how we conquered 12 systems, crushed 7 rebellions, and frightened half the galaxy into obedience. According to our official history, we were unstoppable. According to reality, well, that story ends with our king in chains. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me begin with the day humans laughed. Yes, laughed. The Galactic Assembly Hall was filled with representatives from more species than I could count. Tall ones, tiny ones, floating gas clouds with translators. Even those irritating Varn diplomats who clap with their tails every time someone says something dramatic. At the center platform stood our ruler, King Vortigern III, 8 feet tall, armor polished so bright it could blind a star pilot, crown made of pure iridium spikes. The man loved drama more than oxygen. He raised one clawed hand. Silence spread across the chamber. People of the galaxy, Vortigern announced proudly, the Kareth Dominion grows tired of your weakness. Your alliances are fragile. Your peace treaties are pathetic. He paced slowly across the platform, cape dragging behind him like he was starring in some terrible opera. Our fleets have grown strong. Our soldiers are unmatched. Therefore, he paused for effect. We declare a cleansing war. Gasps echoed across the chamber. Some diplomats whispered nervously. Others looked ready to faint. And then, something very strange happened. The human ambassador started laughing. Not a polite chuckle. No, a full, uncontrolled laugh. I remember staring at him through my data visor. Ambassador Jonah Hale. Medium height, brown hair, simple gray uniform. No armor. No visible weapons. Just standing there laughing like someone told the galaxy's funniest joke. King Vortigern slowly turned toward him. You find this amusing, human? Jonah wiped a tear from his eye. Oh, sorry, he said between breaths. I didn't mean to laugh. It's just wow. The chamber went silent again. Vortigern's voice dropped to a dangerous growl. Explain yourself. Jonah leaned casually against the rail of his platform. You just declared war on humanity. Correct. And you thought that would scare us? The king narrowed his eyes. Should it not? Jonah looked around the chamber, then shrugged. I mean, you can try. That was it. No threats. No speech. Just 3 words. You can try. Even I felt the insult hanging in the air. Vortigern's crown spikes trembled slightly. You underestimate the Kareth Dominion. Jonah tilted his head. Oh no. We studied you. That sentence made my stomach twist. Studied? When? How? Vortigern laughed loudly. Our fleets contain 12,000 warships. Jonah nodded. Yep. Our soldiers are bred for battle. Seen the reports. Our empire spans 14 systems. Jonah tapped the railing thoughtfully. Actually, 13.5. The king froze. What? Jonah smiled slightly. You lost 1 mining colony yesterday. The entire chamber erupted in confused murmurs. Vortigern slammed his staff against the floor. Lies! Jonah simply activated his holo display. A projection appeared above the chamber. Burning wreckage, destroyed warships, and a human carrier drifting calmly in orbit. The caption read, Kareth Outpost K9. Neutralized. My claws tightened around my datapad. That outpost was classified. No one outside the Dominion knew it existed. Jonah looked back at the king. So yeah, we've been watching you. Vortigern's voice shook with rage. You dare attack us before war is even declared. Jonah shrugged again. You declared war about 3 minutes ago. Technically, he wasn't wrong. The king raised his staff. Then hear this, human. Our fleets will descend upon Earth. Your species will kneel. Jonah's smile faded. Not fear. Something worse. Pity. Oh, you really shouldn't do that. Vortigern roared. Why? Jonah straightened his uniform. Because if you start this war... He paused. The entire chamber leaned forward. We're going to finish it. No shouting. No threats. Just calm certainty. Vortigern slammed his staff again. The Kareth Dominion will crush humanity. Jonah nodded slowly. Okay. Then he turned and walked toward the exit. Just like that, the king shouted after him. Running already? Jonah didn't stop walking, but he did say one final sentence. Call me when your king is ready to surrender. The doors closed behind him. The chamber exploded into chaos. Diplomats shouting, translators glitching, security rushing everywhere. And I remember thinking one thing. Humans were either unbelievably stupid or unbelievably confident. The war began 12 hours later. Our fleets launched from 4 systems. Thousands of warships, endless legions of soldiers. The greatest military force the Dominion had ever assembled. King Vortigern watched the launch from his command throne. He looked unstoppable, invincible, victorious before the first battle even began. I stood in the archive balcony recording history. And for a moment, I believed the propaganda, until the first battle report arrived. It contained only 3 lines. Kareth Fleet Alpha destroyed. Human casualties unknown. Enemy message attached. The message was from Ambassador Jonah Hale. It said, that was the warning shot. I remember King Vortigern reading it. I remember his claws tightening. And I remember realizing something terrifying. The humans hadn't been bluffing. The war had just started. And somehow, we were already losing. 3 days. That was how long the Kareth Dominion believed the war would last. 3 days to crush humanity. 3 days to burn their cities. 3 days to add another system to our glorious empire. Instead, the 3rd day was when our empire began to collapse. The second battle report arrived while King Vortigern was still celebrating the launch of Fleet Beta. A trembling officer stepped into the throne chamber. His voice barely worked. Your Majesty, Fleet Beta has been eliminated. The room fell silent. Vortigern stared at him. Explain. The officer swallowed. They never reached the Sol system. Vortigern's crown tilted slightly. Then where were they destroyed? The officer activated the hollow screen. Stars appeared. Coordinates. Then something far worse. Debris. Thousands of Kareth warships floating like broken toys. And, at the center of the field, one human vessel. Just one. Someone in the chamber whispered, that cannot be correct. The officer spoke again. The vessel identified itself as the Lantern. Vortigern scoffed. One ship destroyed an entire fleet? The officer shook his head slowly. No, Your Majesty. The ship transmitted a message before the battle. The king leaned forward. What message? The officer read from his tablet. Turn around. The entire room stared. Vortigern blinked once. That is the message. Yes, Your Majesty. And my admirals ignored it? The officer nodded. They fired first. Vortigern slammed his staff. Of course they did. We are warriors. The officer hesitated before continuing. Then the human ship destroyed them. How? The officer looked pale. It moved faster than our targeting systems could track. Another officer added quietly from the side. Our sensors show the ship firing once every 2 seconds. With what weapon? The room stayed silent. Because no one knew. The 3rd report arrived an hour later. Fleet Gamma gone. Fleet Delta retreating. By the 6th day, our empire had lost half its navy. And humans had not invaded. Not yet. That was the strange part. They simply waited. King Vortigern called an emergency council. I was present in the archive booth recording the session. Generals shouted. Admirals argued. One scientist suggested humans possessed unknown propulsion technology. Another suggested sabotage. Finally, the king stood up. Enough. Silence returned. Our fleets may have suffered setbacks, but the Dominion still stands. He turned toward the hollow display. Prepare the Royal Fleet. The largest fleet we possessed. 20,000 warships. The pride of the Dominion. And the king himself would lead it. Vortigern smiled confidently. This war ends at Earth. I remember thinking something strange at that moment. Humans had not attacked our capital. They had not destroyed our infrastructure. They had only destroyed fleets. Almost like they were clearing a path. The Royal Fleet departed that same night. And we followed. Thousands of ships jumping through hyperspace toward the Sol system. When we arrived, we found something unexpected. Nothing. No human armada. No defensive line. Just empty space. Vortigern laughed loudly across the command channel. Cowards! They fled. His admirals cheered. Then the stars changed. At first, I thought it was sensor interference. Tiny flashes appearing around the fleet. Then more. Then hundreds. Then thousands. Human ships. They weren't arriving. They were already there. Hidden. Surrounding us. A calm voice suddenly appeared across every communication channel. Ambassador Jonah Hale. Hello again, Your Majesty. The king's face twisted with fury. Human, face me in battle. Jonah sounded amused. You already lost the battle. The king roared. Attack. Our fleet fired. Thousands of cannons. Missiles. Energy beams. The human ships moved like ghosts. They slipped between blasts, accelerated, vanished, reappeared. And then the shooting started. One by one, our ships vanished. Not explosions. Just gone. Disabled. Captured. Neutralized. Within minutes, the royal fleet stopped firing. Within minutes, it stopped existing. Our flagship drifted alone in silence. Vortigern screamed orders at his officers. Reactors. Weapons. Something. Nothing worked. A human cruiser slowly approached. Its hull lights glowing softly. Boarding clamps extended. The doors of our flagship exploded inward. Human soldiers walked inside calmly. Not running. Not shouting. Just walking. One of them spoke politely. Your Majesty, please come with us. Vortigern swung his staff wildly. You dare touch your king? The human soldier sighed. Yes. They placed restraints around his wrists. Chains. Actual metal chains. Then they escorted him onto their ship. No resistance left. No fleet. No empire to defend him. 3 days later, the Galactic Assembly reconvened. And every species watched in stunned silence. Because the doors opened, and human guards walked in. Between them, King Vortigern, dragged forward in chains. The same platform. The same chamber. The same crowd. Ambassador Jonah Hale stepped forward. He looked at the king calmly. You wanted war. Vortigern said nothing. Jonah turned to the assembly. The Dominion has surrendered. Gasps spread across the chamber. Jonah continued. We will not destroy their people. He glanced back at the defeated king. But their empire is over. Then he faced Vortigern again and said the exact sentence he had spoken before the war. Call me when your king is ready to surrender. The chamber erupted with laughter. I stood there recording history and realizing something our empire never understood. Humans didn't want war, but if you forced them into it, they would finish it completely. Humans never wanted war, but once the war begins, they make sure it ends forever. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments, should the galaxy ever challenge humans again?